And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for the week of August 26, 2019 are about to head your way. So go ahead and press the record button. As always, thank you for broadcasting and listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Every crowd has the life of the party, the one that adds spark to any get-together. Well, there's a party animal right under your hood. When I come back, I'll put you on a first-name basis.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
She's scintillating and gets it all fired up. When she's around, gasoline and air just explode. May I present your engine's firecracker, Ms. Sparkplug. Spark plugs are like matches, supplying tiny flames that ignite vaporized gasoline in your engine. In a typical 8-cylinder vehicle moving 60 miles an hour, this mini explosion occurs 832 times, and almost twice that in a 4-cylinder car. Yes, these divas of detonation work hard for the money, so check manufacturer's recommendation for scheduled replacement. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. What you don't see can't hurt you, right? Neighborly ghosts and friendly spirits aside, think again. What you can't see can kill you. When I come back, I'll tell you all about it.
O'Reilly
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Conventional wisdom says ignorance is bliss, but colorless, odorless, and tasteless carbon gases, together with visible byproducts of pollution, harm health and environment. Enter Walbro Corporation's Smart Tank, the industry's first electronically managed fuel storage and delivery system. What this means to consumers and to citizens of planet Earth is harmful vapor collection and carbon vapor storage within the tank itself, while providing fuel pressure as demanded by your onboard computer, saving gas. That's one green machine, saving cash and the planet. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Some say every song has a story, but I think every story has a song. Do you know 2 past chart toppers that tell an automotive story? When I come back, I'll hum a few bars.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Some like classical music, others rock. My pick hits? Why, cartoons, of course. And 2 favorites reveal car owners who march to very different drummers. They're King of the Road and Queen of Denial. Kings of the Road take proactive care of the vehicles and have preventive maintenance performed regularly. Queens of Denial specialize in neglect. They rule the roadside, where they usually break down and often pay the crown jewels for repairs. So save yourself a king's ransom, treat your coach to preventive maintenance. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. Rubik's Cube, Batman's Riddler, and Wall Street. Those are some puzzles I can't help you solve. But I know a cheat sheet for automotive enigmas. And when I come back, I'll tell you where to find it.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Not since the Cliff Notes to Homer's Odyssey has the answer to so many riddles been found in one place. Yes, this free bestseller is within arm's reach and solves riddles like, what octane gas should I use? What oil's best? How much air pressure is right for my tires? And what does that little red light on my dash mean? Now don't look for this time and money-saving books in Barnes & Noble. It's right in your glove compartment. Your owner's manual. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. You're a beautiful tropical fish darting around aquarium coral. Then you're sluggish, no energy. This fish story is no bait and switch. It's really about cars. When I come back, I'll tell you all about it.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
Oh, 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 O'Reilly Auto Parts.
No pep in your car's performance? No need to fish for an explanation. It may be your fuel filter. Like aquarium filters, fuel filters trap debris. Their job is to snag gasoline contaminants before they reach your engine. But if filters clog, flows are restricted. And then, like fish who can't get enough oxygenated water, your engine can't get enough precious gas. Result? Poor performance and decreased gas mileage. So don't let the big ones, dollars that is, get away. Change fuel filters with every tune-up. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And a special welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Good morning, folks. Hope that you had a great week and that you took care of your car and your car took care of you. And we had a very interesting case in the shop right now. And here in Pensacola, Florida, and that's where this show originates. We call it the center of the automotive universe. Our studios that we designed were built by Acoustic Systems in Austin, Texas, and shipped in 2 semi-trucks, 22,000 pounds, and assembled within our 15,000 square foot automotive service facility. So it's unique, and it's a very clean, crisp, pristine environment, and I get to just simply sit at my host desk in front of this mic and share with you information about my weekly endeavors and my profession, which is automotive service and repair. So when I come back, so that I won't be rushed, I'll share with you this little Honda Civic with 100,000 miles and a young lady that was really afraid that she wouldn't make it back across the Bay Bridge, which could be dangerous. The car sat since May and was revived, I might say, and brought to us. I'll tell you a little more about that as we go along. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you today by O'Reilly Auto Parts. You know the rest of the story. What great parts. It's great to have an O'Reilly Auto Parts store about a stone's throw from my shop. Your call is at 888 Car Clinic when I come back.
Let's go inside the mind of a 10-year-old.
I should have worn earrings today.
Buckle up, Sarah.
Michaela's got like the best earrings.
Sarah, buckle up.
I wish my name was Michaela.
We're not hitting the road until you buckle up, honey.
Oh yeah, seatbelt. I wonder if there's pizza at school today.
It can be tough getting through to kids, but it's your job to make sure they're wearing their seatbelts. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
Berryman's B12 Chem Tool features HEST, or High Energy Solvent Technology. Using a combination of stronger solvents, HEST technology helps maximize one-tank cleanup of intake valves, fuel injectors, and combustion chambers. For example, Frederick L. was experiencing a stalling problem on his 88 Mazda B2200. The vehicle was bogging down under acceleration. He tried Berryman B12 Chem Tool on a whim and noticed a huge difference, both with performance and fuel economy. Learn more about Berryman B12 Chem Tool at berrymanproducts.com. In the service bay this week, a 2000 Ford Taurus. The customer had brought the vehicle in because it rode rough and handled poorly. Not uncommon for older cars with 85,000 miles. It was also making a lot of noise over slight bumps. After checking the vehicle out thoroughly, our diagnosis was that both front struts had gone bad. They were bouncy, and the bushings were worn and loose. The solution? A set of Motorcraft loaded struts to help restore original ride and feel. And because Motorcraft offers a preloaded strut assembly, the customer saves money on labor, and the shop can move on quickly to the next vehicle. Not to mention not fighting with rust and typical disassembly issues associated with all older type vehicles. After installing the new Motorcraft assemblies, the ride and handling was restored to the condition that the owner remembered. Motorcraft parts are specifically designed for all your Ford and Lincoln repairs. Motorcraft, right part, priced right. Learn more about Motorcraft loaded struts and other high-quality vehicle-specific parts at motorcraft.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here. Your aroma helps me wake and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started. First, gas prices. Believe it or not, well, I don't really understand this, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing if you drive a gas hog. And you know, the word gas, let's define gas hog. I drive a luxury car that's an extended wheelbase, really nice vehicle. Now, granted, it's aluminum, so it's not as heavy as it looks. When I say that, you think of a luxury car that's got to be in the 5,000 pound, maybe 5,200 pound range. My car probably weighs 4,500 pounds, which is only a couple of 250 pounds more than a Mustang GTA. And when you think about it, and I've got some reports on the Mustang, by the way, the new 2020, and it's almost 4,300 pounds. That's heavy car. I mean, when you consider my Dodge Viper, that I really enjoyed that vehicle. It weighed 3,450 pounds and had 450 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque.
and the 2020 Mustang has 760 horsepower and 500 plus, almost 600 pound-foot of torque. But the Viper was 3,500. The Porsche weighs 700. The Mustang weighs 700 pounds more. But getting back to the gas prices, so my car is a 5-liter V8 with 11.5 to 1 compression ratio. Now, what does that mean? Well, think about a classic muscle car, and then think about a 427 Corvette, which would go anywhere but straight. I mean, literally. Those cars of that era were ungodly fast, but they were just all bodacious and aggressive and like a bull in a china cabinet. I mean, I think that was part of the fun of driving the car, because while you stepped as an individual, you stepped on the gas and the clutch and you shifted it manually. Really, you had little to no control in the big scheme of things as compared to today's cars. And so, I mean, in mechanically, physically, technically, I would throw rocks at a 427 Corvette as compared to today's Kia. But that's really an overstatement, because I would love to have a 427 Corvette versus the Kia, only because of its classic era and its behavior and its character. That's the word I'm searching for. So anyway, gas prices across the nation are lower this week than they were same time last week in every area of the country. And what is that? That's a $2.59.8, $2.59, and that's regular gasoline. And this is the East Coast and New England, the Central Atlantic, Lower Atlantic, Midwest, Gulf Coast, 226 here along the Gulf Coast, Rocky Mountain, 267, and West Coast, where everything's more expensive, 324. And the irony, or what's really interesting about gas prices, is that not only are they lower than this time last week, they're lower than this time last year. And so this is a never-ending cycle of like a roller coaster, but I see the roller coaster continuing to come to rest at a lower speed, or a lower price, if you will. And so I find that interesting. And what this is good for the economy, because it's good for OEMs. And you know what an OEM is? That's an original equipment manufacturer. That's Ford, GM, Chrysler, Mercedes. I mean, all the new car makers. Why? Because they actually make more profit on an SUV and a truck. I don't know how much money Ford makes on truck, but Ford's done a really great job with their F-Series truck, and that's the number one selling vehicle, I think, has been for 30 years, maybe even longer. And there are a lot of those trucks on the market. I drove one recently. In fact, I drove an Expedition. And pros and cons about the Expedition. It had the engine that I really like, which is, I admire. It's a V6. Here's a big Expedition. Now, I bet you that vehicle weighs 5,000 pounds. But it surely didn't drive like it. It had a taut suspension, which I really liked. So it was very into the road. I mean, you go over the bridge, and you have those segments on the bridge, and it would thump, 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 which is a good thing. I mean, it had that. Of course, it had all new tires, and it was a rental car, because my car was in the body shop, which I just picked up yesterday. In West Florida, Paint and Body did a fantastic job. It really, for all intents and purposes, except for my anal nature, you can't even tell it's ever been touched. And someone backed into the door of the car. Now, they didn't repair the door. They put a new door from the UK, from Jag, on the car. But to transfer all the door panel, which was leather and wood, and all the switches and all the new weather stripping and the plastic and that little chrome rail that goes along the top of the door that's fragile, that was all new, because you can't take it off the old door. You just can't really transfer that. So just know that when you get a car fixed in a body shop, you're not supposed to see any overspray. And to that end, in order to match the color, they had to paint the entire. They didn't had to. They elected to paint the entire right side of the car. So from the fender, right front fender, the hood line, all the way back to the tail light, which wasn't touched, it has all new paint. But in order to all new paint that side, they had to remove the door handles, and so they had to remove the front interior door panel too. So that was someplace that I personally wouldn't want to go, because there's a 9-page descriptor instructions on how to remove the door panel of that car, because you can't see. There are no screws. I mean, there obviously are hidden screws, but there are some attaching retainers, poppets, if you will, that you know, at the factory they put it in place, and they take their fist or whatever they use, and they pop pop pop, and it ends up just beautiful, just like, oh, it's there, it's tight. But what holds it on? I mean, historically you had, you know, little chrome screws, Phillips head screws with eyelets, and that's what held interiors together. I mean, you can see these screws everywhere. Pardon me. So the bottom line, a great job, but my car is aluminum, so it only weighs 4,500 pounds, and yet it looks like it should weigh 5,500 pounds. Getting back to the expedition that I drove while I had rented while my vehicle was in the body shop, and it was there since July 16, which is when it was damaged. So I've been without that car too long. So today is going to be a fun day for me to enjoy my car, and this weekend I'm going to clean it and get all the it's got that fresh painted smell to it, and you know, and certainly there's a devaluation, you know, a diminished value of the car, because it will have a Carfax report on it, and for that, I'm really bothers me, but I have to get over it, because, you know, it is a piece of metal, and it was assembled, and it can be reassembled, and you know, that's the neat thing. It's like taking your car to a service shop, and it leaks oil and it doesn't run correctly, and that reminds me of the story that I was going to tell, and now that my mind has come back around to the opening of the program, which was we have in the shop. Well, let me finish the gas price. So the moral of the story is you can almost afford, I say almost because it's always a judgment call, to buy any size vehicle these days that you want, because the gas guzzler days are over. My car gets 26.7 miles per gallon, averaging 79 miles per hour. And it does it consistently, and it has over the 65,000 miles now that I have on the car. I've had it for 6 years, half year, 10,000 miles a year. I mean, right on the button is what I put on that car. It may be a fewer miles this year, but the bottom line, because of the 8-speed transmission, because of the 11.5 to 1 compression ratio in my normally aspirated, which means no turbo, no supercharged V8 engine, that's a 5-liter, this vehicle has a tremendous acceleration, tremendous torque, and a tremendous ride and drive. And Tata Motors, Ratan Tata, bought Jaguar from Ford, and just has done a fantastic job. So I'm really pleased with the car, and I really admire the construction and the job that Tata Motors has done on the car, because historically, if you own the Jag, you better have Bobby Likis as your brother or some other technician to ride along with you. That's not the case these days. And that's not the case with any automobile. I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find a bad car. And I have my choices, and, you know, I've mentioned before, you want a used car? Toyota. Buy a used Toyota. I mean, they work, and they work forever. Anyway, so when gas price is low, you can buy the cars that you want. So this week we had, in Pensacola, there's a Pensacola Christian College. And I'll share with you about a young lady that had her car there that's actually been parked since May, and we've got it on our job to fix this week. I'll tell you about that when I come back. Today's vehicles have more than 150 electrical accessories for safety, comfort, and sustainability, and much more than 20 years ago. Clarius is the world's largest producer of automotive AGM batteries that are precision engineered to meet today's electrical demands. Things like backup cameras, GPS, navigation, entertainment systems, and start-stop technology.
AGM batteries have up to 2 times the life of traditional batteries and are non-spillable. When you need a battery, make sure you ask for an AGM battery to meet today's evolving electrical needs. Visit autobatteries.com for more information. Talking tunes, not the ones on the radio, the ones that allow you to reprogram your vehicle's factory computer, giving you more power, more torque, and a better overall driving experience. Diablo Sport tuners and Reaper Stage 1 kits provide an air-fuel mixture that's already engineered for the particular setup you're running to electronically compensate for the intake and the exhaust on your vehicle. Whether it's the Predator, the Intune i3, or the Trinity 2, you can find the perfect tune at DiabloSport.com. That's DiabloSport.com. This car repair spotlight brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Folks, this week an 04 Chevy Avalanche with 196,000 miles came in the shop with a noisy front wheel and ABS light on. Our service team determined the truck had a bad front wheel bearing. Not sure about the ABS issue. We called our local O'Reilly Auto Parts professional who recommended a Precision brand hub assembly. The Precision hub came with new bearings, new seals, new wheel studs, and an ABS sensor built in. Perhaps the new hub with its built-in ABS sensor might also fix the ABS. We called the owner to explain the process and give a cost estimate. Replace the hub, clear all codes, and retest the vehicle. What a relief after repair as both the noise and ABS issue were repaired. Given the cost of repair, whenever we can fix 2 problems with 1 part, makes our customers really happy and our team heroes. That's why we make O'Reilly Auto Parts our first call. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher, 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your hosts, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Folks, be sure to prepare for any end of summer road trips. And before you head out, visit O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simple preventive maintenance before you hit the road will ensure a safe journey during the months ahead. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. So I have this Honda Civic, and I believe it's an 02 model, 1.7 engine. And what happens is when this, and here was the story, a young student headed across the Bay Bridge to the beach and backed up with traffic. Air conditioner on, idling, car not overheating, no cooling system issues whatsoever, but gets halfway across the bridge, and the car goes into what appears to be a limp home mode and would only run about 20 miles per hour. Very fearful of traffic and people, maybe, I'm sure somebody blowing the horn and saying, why don't you go on? What she couldn't go on. But she did limp, as I said, across the bridge, parked the car, and then waited. And sometime later, drove it and cranked it up, and it ran fine. And of course, never went to the beach and came back and parked it at the college. And it's been parked there since May of this year. Well, her father came down and her mother came down to visit. And while he was here, he looked at the car. And he realized that their repair was beyond his expertise and didn't have the tools and what have you. And so he called one of our customers and a friend, and our customer recommended us. And so I talked with all of the folks yesterday. I met them, very interesting, and
I was able, and here's the short story. I was able to duplicate exactly what had happened to her. I let the car idle with the air conditioner on for about 20 minutes in one of the stalls of we have 16 stalls in our facility, 15,000 square feet. Went over there, and the check engine light was on, what had not been on before, and you step on the accelerator, and rather than run, it would go, whoa, whoa. I mean, it just like the exhaust was plugged. So we did ran some tests on it, and sure enough, it has a bad crankshaft position sensor. Now, on some cars, a crankshaft position sensor is a electromagnetic device that attaches to the engine and tells the computer where top dead center is. So that's what well, here's the challenge. This top dead center is located sensor underneath the front of the engine cover, and you have to literally get to it by taking the anyway. I won't go into what all you have to take off it, just to tell you that you got to take it apart like open hood surgery to get to this sensor, rather than it should have been attached so that it could be replaced just from the outside and then probe going into the engine, but it wasn't. So here's the drill, and I called her dad, who was on the way back to Atlanta yesterday, and he was on the road, and we're going to send him an estimate so we can take the front of the motor part and replace the sensors. The sensor, cam sensor probably, it's not bad, but while we're in there we may do that. But here's the problem. With a Honda, you better keep a timing belt. You better replace a timing belt assembly kit when you take that front of that motor apart. And that timing belt kit will come with a water pump. And we're going to add probably to this repair $300 or $400 in expense. But we're right there. We're like an hour away from replacing these parts that are exposed because we're taking the front of the motor apart. So it's going to be our job to explain to this gentleman. Luckily, he did get his hands dirty, so he has enough expertise that he'll understand, the scenario. And besides, his daughter's in college here in Pensacola, and they live up in Atlanta or north of Atlanta somewhere. So the bottom line is, it's our job to communicate, and there's the word. That's what Car Clinic radio broadcasts are all about, to communicate the needs of this car and why we should do and perform more services while we're there than not. So I just wanted you to share that with you because. And I'll let you know next week, what we did. But I know what we're going to do, because if it were my car, it would be no choice. I would replace the timing belt, do the kit, put a water pump on it, because the water pump is a pulley for the timing belt, and you make the car whole again. And so that's what we will do, but we have to make sure that we get authorization to spend this man's money, and it's our job to give the prognosis, and that's what we're going to do. So understand that when a shop calls you and you leave your car, and then they call and said, okay, here are your options, and if they don't offer you an option, ask what does the car need just to make it run? Well, that's fine. It needs a sensor. Unfortunately, you can't just plug it in from the outside. You got to take the engine apart to get to the sensor. And so that's when you have to communicate and understand what your options are, and why a repair would be $500 or $800 or whatever the cost is. I won't do the estimate. My service manager, Rusty Staley, who's doing a fantastic job and is a great individual, will put that all together, and we'll give the men options. So enough about that, but I just want to share that with you, that when you and I talk cars, it's because I'm in the business for 48 years. Let's go to New York and take a call from Mike, and then I see from Texas we have Derek. So, and folks, the number to call, and now's a great time, is 888 Car Clinic, or 888-227-2546. Mike, thank you so much for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, Bobby, how are you today?
Just
Thanks
terrific.
For taking my call.
Okay, my pleasure.
Hey, I just wanted to ask you. You had mentioned diminished value on the Carfax.
Yes.
And I've experienced it twice during a trade-in. $20,000 on a car trade-in, and then they take $4,000 off of it because they use The average seems to be with the dealers 20%, if anything shows up in Carfax. I had one where just the bumper cover was replaced on one of my Lexuses.
Right.
And
I'm with you. Yeah.
that
hurt.
That's
that
one
hurts.
of the reasons why actually I change over to lease, because why buy it if you have, even if it's not your fault like you had?
Yeah.
You're going to lose 20% at trade-in. That's a lot of money on an expensive car.
Well, it really is, Mike, and believe it or not, I was at McDonald's getting a cup of coffee, and I parked. I'm anal about where I parked. This car had no door dings on it anywhere, and I've washed it personally and detailed it since new. I ordered it new. I loaded it up with accessories. It's a extended wheelbase. It has screens. It has footrests. It has air-conditioned seats and a whole 9 yards. And quite candidly, the accessories that I added to this car ran more than $17,000. That's how loaded this car is. And I knew that I would take a hit on the car as far as the accessory, because that probably only added $2,000 to the used value. But for me, other than having illness in the family, this is about as hurtful as you could possibly imagine. And so to top it off, this Ford Ranger that was driven by this young lady whose boyfriend owns it had no insurance. So that really bothers me. And the good news is the door was replaced with a new assembly. It wasn't repaired; it was replaced. And even when they adjusted the door, and you could see where they moved the bolts on the door and the door jamb, the pillar. They even sprayed that and clear coated that, because before I picked it up, I talked with the folks, and I've known these folks for 40 years, and I said, well, what about the weather strip? It's all new. What about this? It's all new. What about this? It's all new. Everything is new. So they did paint the entire right side of the car, and the paint's drop dead gorgeous. They did a fantastic job, but the diminished value's there. I had a $1,000 deductible. I didn't have a rental car because I had so many cars. I figured if I ever had a wreck, I'd have plenty of cars. Well, lo and behold, I sold the Viper, and I don't drive the classic Porsche. I wouldn't drive it now for sure. And so the bottom line, I'm out $1,000 deductible. I'm out 3 weeks on a rental vehicle. But I got a good deal because we use Enterprise and we have for our customers, so I got a good deal there. But it doesn't matter, and I'm never going to get paid for it. And then the insurance paid for it. There's $4,000 was the claim total, which is not the kiss of death, except that the diminished value in my grand. What a losing proposition! And I can tell you, 6 months from now, I'll know whether or not 6 weeks from now, I'll know whether or not I'm going to keep the car. And but doesn't matter, like you said, diminished value, and there's no recourse. There's no recourse.
Yeah.
So what a helpless feeling that is. And
some insurance companies in some states are paying diminished value now.
Well,
believe it or not, Michigan, they're paying diminished value from the insurance companies. But my point is this: is that do you think that state to state there should be laws enacted where Carfax, like if you have a frame damage, I think that should be reported. But you have a minor damage and the car's brought back to original. I don't see how that should affect your trade-in. That's just my personal feeling.
Well,
that's why I went to lease. Because
and Mike,
if I lease and I have an accident, it doesn't matter. I give the car back.
Well, Mike, you make a great point, and I did lease this car, not for that reason, but I did lease it originally because it was 2013, and this new body style that Tata redesigned, Ian Callum actually was chosen as the designer of the year. I figured that it was a 13, so and by 16, that body style would be 6 years old. I figured that the new body style would come out and new electronics, so I leased it for 3 years. Well, Jag didn't change the XJ, and they didn't change it yet. And here it is, 2020, and they still got the same car, and so I bought it. So I've ended up with extra money that I paid, but that's okay. I wanted the option, like you, to turn it back in and walk away. But I didn't. I turned it back in. And I'll tell you something else I learned. And, folks, this is interesting, too. And, Mike, you'll appreciate this. When I turned it back in, I had to turn it back in. Then I had to turn around and buy my own car back, and I had to pay the sales tax on my own car as a used car. So I've ended up with probably $6,000 more in cost for leasing the car than if I had known I was going to keep this car. But I'll tell you, I'm going to consider leasing the next time. But the big challenge here, and then we'll move on because we got a bunch of calls. But Mike, the big challenge is I drove a 19 LS 500 Lexus for about 3 days, and I love that car. But it's got a beautiful interior. It rides, but doesn't have that magic potion that this Jag does. Hey, thank you so much for your call, folks. Got to take a break. Don't go away. I'm coming back with Peter and Derek and Robert. A 2015 Ford Escape recently came into the shop, 120,000 miles and going strong, but it was starting to hesitate, and the customer also complained of declining fuel economy. This 2-liter turbocharged engine is GDI, or gas direct injection, and special maintenance is needed in certain areas, particularly the fuel system. We suspected carbon buildup, and sure enough, using a borescope through the spark plug hole, there was definite evidence of carbon buildup. GDI engines are different in the way they inject fuel, and it can create some issues with repair and maintenance. That's why it's important to use products rated for GDI, like Berryman's 4-step Professional Air and Fuel Management Maintenance Kit. Each step of the process is designed with GDI engines in mind. We use the kit, and after 2 weeks on the road, the car is performing noticeably better, and MPG has improved a bit. Learn more about Berryman's 4-step Professional Air and Fuel Management Maintenance Kit and other great products at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, brought to you in part by our partners, Car Care Council. Folks, we know it's back to school time, which is the perfect opportunity for you as drivers to make sure that your vehicles are kid safe and road ready. Visit carcare.org. And you'll see a number of fantastic tools, including tips and service schedules and videos and information that I talk about and I share with you on Saturday. What you can find this anytime at carcare.org. And you can also, there's a neat option they have there where you put your VIN number and you'll get automatic reminders when your car needs to be serviced. And there's no charge. There's no gimmicks. It's a not-for-profit organization. It's the only one of its kind. The Car Care Council has been around longer than I've been in business. Longer than I, probably. And that's a long time. They do a great job. Let's take a call from Derek in Texas. Derek, thank you so much for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you visiting with me this morning.
You as well.
Got a question for you. I've got an 02 GMC Duramax dually. Just rolled 108,000 miles.
Okay.
Truck's been in the family for my dad bought it used, but he bought it. Actually, he worked for the car dealership, and he got it at about 20,000 miles.
Mm-hmm.
Truck sets a lot, or used to set a lot, because we restore and show antique tractors, and so that was our nice truck to hook up the trailer and go to tractor show with.
How interesting!
But anyway, truck's never been worked hard, all highway miles, that type of stuff. But at 108,000 miles the other day, started knocking, driving it. Took it into the dealership. Well, wound up having it towed into the dealership. They told me that the end of the glow plug had come off and went into the cylinder, ruined the engine.
Wow.
And it's a pretty costly repair. I've looked at used other, replacing it. I can find newer, but they have double the miles for about what the cost of the repair is going to cost. I'm right at that point where it's almost not worth fixing, but I know the history of it, and it's too good a truck to not fix. And anyway, I had a couple of questions for you. The first one is the dealership's telling me we're having a little trouble getting a Duramax engine for it, believe it or not. But they're telling me that go ahead and flush the transmission on it in the rear end, and we'll basically have a new truck.
Mm-hmm.
And so my concern was that I've had people tell me that if I have that transmission flush now, that we've waited too long, and that the transmission will go out after having it flushed because it knocks debris and stuff loose. And so I was going to get your thoughts on that.
That's a great question, and here's my great answer. It's never too late to quit smoking, and it's never too late to change the fluid in the transmission. Unfortunately, people in my business are hesitant to touch it. The old adage, if it ain't broke, don't, you know the story there. But Derek, when a transmission is flushed, as you say, or the fluid is exchanged, the machine that we use and the machine that most shops use these days is only, it's like a dialysis. And the pressure that pushes the fluid out of your transmission and into the machine, and then the new pushes against a bladder that pushes the new fluid in. And this is done through the transmission cooler lines. So the idea that you're going to dislodge debris in the automatic transmission is no longer applicable. And there are exceptions. So for you techs out there, don't say, that's not true. Hey, look, folks, get over it. Rather, would you wait until you got a problem? And here's where another problem comes in, Derek. People wait until they have a problem with transmissions, and then they go in with 200,000 miles and hoping that a flush is going to fix it. Well, that's not the right attitude. So, as I said, the short answer is, by all means, have the fluids changed and update the vehicle. And I'll tell you, if you're going to go to the expense to replace the engine, then make sure that the parameters, the supporting mechanical components are also updated. And specifically, I am talking about, of course, it'll have a new water pump, the radiator, the hoses, the engine mounts, transmission mount. These are all going to be exposed when they pull the engine out. So these will add, and that's why people call a shop, and they'll call us and say, I need an engine in my car. What's it going to cost? Well, what's it going to cost for the engine, or what's it going to cost when you pick up the vehicle after the engine's replaced? In other words, what is it out the door? because that's what it really boils. It's like a new car. What's a new car? Oh, this car is $35,000, but we're going to sell it today for $31,000. And when you walk out the door, tax tag and all, the bill's $37,000 of finance money. Really? So that's what you want to know, what it's going to cost out the door. And if you got to spend an extra $1,000 on peripherals to make it whole and to sustain the health of the new engine, then do it, because I just like you can't find, you know it and I know it, you can't find used trucks that are known quality used trucks, and when you do, they bring a premium. So that's just the nature of the beast, and you know these things because you've restored these other older vehicles, and you know that when you restore something, where do you stop? I mean, this needs a new widget, a new piece of brass, or on this old tractor. And I don't know anything about tractors, but you do. But you understand what I'm saying. At what point do you stop if you're restoring it, and to what condition would you like to restore it? And I'm still working, and just got my new key blanks in yesterday on the ignition lock cylinder on my Porsche. That's a $900 unit, and it comes with an ignition switch and the keys and what have you. Unfortunately, the keys, Derek, the thumb part where the key fob where you turn the key to start the engine, they're the size of my thumbnail, and I don't know why it beats me. Whereas the original Porsche key is about an inch and a quarter wide and gives you leverage where you can use your thumb and your forefinger. The new keys here, so I had to order 2 new blanks, and they were $26 a piece. I just got them in yesterday, and I've got to cut them. And anyway, so I said all that to say that change the fluid. You're not going to cause a problem. And here's the exception, and I'll say this quickly. If you have a car or a truck that has dirty fluid, contaminated fluid, and requires new filter. See, because most transmissions just have screens, so the filter change is not as important as it was years ago. But if you have fluid that's so burnt and oxidized, and there is debris, and you want to change the fluid, you must change, and the filter, you must change the fluid first, so that you get all of the old fluid out. Then you pull the pan and put a new filter on, and you're going to lose 4 quarts or 5 quarts, so it's going to cost you an extra, whatever, $10 or $15, plus the labor to replace the filter. But that's the exception to the rule. So that's my answer. It's not a short answer, but it's my experience. So by all means, change these fluid. And somebody says, "Oh, you're going to cause a problem." You're not going to cause a problem, because if there is no problem, you're not going to wake it up. It's not like a sludgy engine where you try to clean it out, and then all of a sudden you have all kinds of problems that were accumulatively built up over the years. You got it?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. One quick. I have this vehicle at a shop that I trust. I know the service manager there. I mean, it's a Chevrolet dealership.
Okay.
And but one of the things, this engine's coming with everything new. Injectors failed on this truck at about $70,000, and that was kind of a costly repair. But we're kind of limited on funds, and one of the things that the service manager's telling me is, that we can save, and he feels confident in it, about $1,000 by using we're doing what you said, new water pump, new motor mounts, all that system in there. But
Perfect.
a new turbo and a new injector pump is about $1,000 a piece.
Yeah.
And he's confident that we should go back with the ones that were on the engine, since it only had 108,000 miles on it. I mean, do you share that opinion?
I have my doubts about the injectors. Yes, injectors.
We're getting new injectors. But
Okay.
It's the pump.
It's the pump.
Yeah, he's saying that the pump, we should be fine to go back with the pump that's on it now.
And this vehicle came to life okay and ran okay before, and one. I guess the answer would. Okay.
I was.
All right. So
I was driving it before. I
okay.
mean,
sorry. So Derek, the answer is I would defer to his judgment, because he can look at those components after he pulls them off your engine, and if he can tell if there's any oil leakage in the seal of the turbo, and by all means use the turbo over again. The diesel pump, you know, I'm not that familiar with the diesel pump. I know that in earlier days, Mercedes-Benz required 100,000 mile rebuild of a pump, but that was a mechanical pump that required a Bosch. It was a Bosch pump, and it required a Dinks, or that's which is German for a Bosch fuel injector pump station. And you took that pump and you put it on a machine, and you rebuilt it, and you flow tested it, and all sorts of things. And so I think what I would advise you to do, and we'll move on here. Folks, thanks for your hold, Derek. I would advise you. I defer to the service manager that's got the vehicle. Number one, to his judgment. But I would also make a call there in Texas to a local diesel injector shop, because these people do this every day, and say, I've got a truck with 100,000 miles. Should I worry about this pump, or is there anything that needs to be tested, like bench tested? And can you do that before we put this on this new engine? So that way, you've got not only my opinion, but you've got input from a local person who is a specialist and has the material. And you know, you could call a Bobby at Bobby's diesel injector company and say, Bobby, I've got 100,000 miles and I've got a new engine. Scenario to him, and he would say, oh yeah, it should be okay, but there are a couple of seals you need to replace, you know, or there's a throttle position switch that needs to be replaced. So Derek, get a second opinion, a third opinion on the maintenance of a 100,000 mile pump, and then you'll have all the information to make the educated decision, and I think you'll come out just fine. Okay?
All right. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, sir. Thanks for your confidence and your call to me. Take a call from Robert. Robert, good morning. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for holding.
Thank you, sir. I do appreciate it. I think so your call screener mentioned, or hopefully you mentioned it, I have a 2008 Ford F-150 5.4 liter Triton.
Okay.
What it comes down to, about 6 or 8 months ago, I got the time shaft position sensor indicator, and I let it go for a little while, and the timing chain guides came apart on me.
Yes, sir.
I did a full replacement timing chain guides, new oil pump, new pickup screen, new timing chain new timing sensor.
You got it.
Got it all back to running. It runs great, but anytime I sit somewhere, go through a drive-through after I've been driving for a little while, put a heavy load on it. Pulled my boat yesterday, and it did the same thing.
Right.
Around, if the throttle's anywhere between 1,000, 1,200 RPMs, it just runs horrible. Get the RPMs back up, get it, in essence, the air moving through it again. It cools down, it goes away, but it does post a sensor on me. And I've replaced the sensor 3 times now.
Cam sensor?
Yep. I thought it was a bad sensor, so I swapped them, because on the Ford it's really, really simple. I got one on each side, so I took the left bank out and put it in the right bank, and it moved with it.
It
like
moved?
I said, I've replaced the
Really?
same sensor 3 times now.
Well, that's a great way to test. So you move sensor A to and B, and when you swap sensor A and B, the problem with A goes right over to the other bank with A.
You got it, yes, sir. Originally it was bank 2 that was causing my problem.
Right.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
So I pulled that one out. I replaced it. I replaced it initially before the timing chain came apart on me, or the guides came apart on me. And then after I put everything back together, that's when I was still getting that power issue. In essence, it runs like a broke dog.
Well, here's what I think might need to be done. There's a relearn. I can't properly address the bad sensor, because you just can't get 2 bad sensors. That just doesn't work. Look for physical damage, which I'm sure you have, to make sure that sensor is. I don't know how you could go wrong. I don't know how you could cause a problem. And I'm out of time here, so I can't properly. So we have another hour coming up, Robert. So I think we need to discuss this in a little more detail. And I don't have the time to do that, but I do have some ideas with regard to reprogramming and relearning the system, because you've restored what is a weak point in that engine, as you well know by now. And there are some options that you have. And we are a member of the Ford Professional Service Network. And so I have connections and partners, and there may be one in your area there. So anyway, with that, I'm out of time. Robert and Peter, I see, and Elmer, you folks are in the queue. I apologize, couldn't get to you, but another great hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic coming up. So take a break, and I'll see you shortly. I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love
This
us.
is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Folks, you never want to get surprised by a dead battery. A vehicle's original battery generally lasts about 3 to 5 years, but many fail long before then. Next time you're in for an oil service, have the technician test your battery. Better now than too late. Today's vehicles have start-stop systems, navigation, radio amplifiers, electric fuel pumps, 25 or more onboard computer modules, and serious electronic controls that depend on a strong, fully charged battery. Make sure the car you're driving has a healthy battery. Make yourself a note. Go to autobatteries.com and see for yourself how a battery can keep you safely driving down the road or put you on the side, just like that. At autobatteries.com, you'll see battery technology, battery testing, how to choose the battery, how to jumpstart your battery, and more about AGM batteries, my choice. I'm not here to make you a battery expert, rather to help you better understand why a reliable battery is essential for your road trips. Go to autobatteries.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's vehicle protection program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to the second hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you just now tuned in, we have a fantastic first hour. Lots of folks still in the queue. What we do have some lines open, so now is the opportune time for you to get in at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. We have a hard break coming up, as we always do. But we're going to come back and talk with Robert, who has an 08 Ford F-150 with a 5.4 modular engine, timing chain upgrade, and he still has some issues there, and I'm going to talk with him about that and see if we can't get him on the other side and figure out something and help him. That's really what I'm here for, to help you with your car challenges as well. But ultimately, you can't fix your car over the phone, but I can certainly give you my experience and help you better communicate on a local level. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part this morning by the Ford Professional Service Network, a more rewarding way to buy Ford, Motorcraft, and Omnicraft parts for automotive service facilities like Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We are a member of the Ford Professional Service Network, where we can buy and offer OEM quality parts for Fords and also OEM quality parts for non-Fords through the Ford Professional Service Network. Back with your calls after the break. 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Don't touch that dial. Time for another edition of Cooling System Q&A, brought to you by Motorrad, your first choice for vehicle thermostats and caps. Why is the thermostat so important? Cooling system regulates engine temperature and helps prevent overheating. While it's comprised of several components, the thermostat plays a critical role with efficient cooling system operation. It must regulate coolant flow properly to maintain a specific engine operating temperature, in addition to providing quick warm-up. Motorrad's new stainless steel thermal element Ultrastat is unmatched for corrosion resistance. Its revolutionary Reax wax mixture provides quicker reaction time. The Ultrastat also features bilinear valve technology, which prevents thermal shock to cooling system components, gradually increasing coolant flow versus instant maximum flow found in traditional thermostats. The Ultrastat precisely controls engine temperature to ensure the lowest emission standards, maximum fuel efficiency, and terrific interior cabin comfort. The Motorrad Ultrastat line is the perfect thermostat upgrade option with coverage for over 160 million vehicles on the road today. Motorrad, leading the way in coverage and service. We recently had an 09 Honda Pilot come into the shop with 169,000 miles on the odometer. The vehicle owner said the cabin was starting to smell like coolant, and he was concerned. Upon closer inspection, we found a heater core leak. Choices were to keep the vehicle and make a repair, which at best is half a day's labor plus parts, or sell the vehicle and buy a different used car that could have its own set of problems. We presented a third option, K-Seal. You've heard me talk about K-Seal before. Well, I don't just talk about it, we actually use the product in our service shop. It's a pour-in solution designed to stop leaks and help prevent future leaks. Other sealers use sodium silicate, which has a tendency to clog the system. K-Seal features ceramic technology that's designed to repair the leak without clogging. Our customer went with K-Seal, and 1 month later, no more leak. Learn more about K-Seal at kseal.com. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this segment and this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We're going to go right back to Robert And Robert, thank you for holding through the break there between the 2 hours. And folks, for those of you who are tuned in for the first time to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, we come to you through your local AM and or FM radio stations. And to that end, we started the network in 1991, and one of the stations of our first 4 stations in 2 states was WNDB 1150 AM News Talk in Daytona Beach, Florida. And we're still on that station to this day. So for all you folks in Daytona and Ormond Beach and surrounding areas, a special welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And I want to share with you our good friend Terry Sabiston let me know this week that their new studios were up and running in Daytona Beach, and so congratulations to all of those of you in radio who get to sit in and use, and your engineers and like Jonathan is working the board today. Well, it's just fantastic. It's like buying a new sports car, but you get to use it every day, and it's for broadcast. And so Daytona and the businesses there, like the Daytona International Speedway with their rising Daytona $400 million stadium that they built for their Daytona International Speedway, and now here's Paul Stone investing in WNDB and FM stations as well, with all new stations. And Terry tells me that of all the 6 new studios, 4 are currently up and running, and that this week Mark Bernier, who was the gentleman that actually was responsible for putting Bobby Likis Car Clinic on that station during his short 2-week or 2-month tenure as a program director. And of course he has his own program and politically backed, but this week I understand he had the mayor and the sheriff and a lot of the locals on to talk about how exciting it is. So I wanted to take this opportunity and thank you callers for allowing me the time to congratulate WNDB and all the folks there in that listening area. It's great to have a new studio, and if you've never been to a radio studio, we like to show off like car shows. We like to show off studios. I show off mine every time somebody comes through our city and says, I wanted to come by your studio, because it's really great when they walk in and see all the tower of power and all the wires and all the cameras and all what have you, say, wow, this is a real studio. Well, yeah. So hats off again to all of the folks that we care so much about and have such a great connection with in Daytona Beach, Florida. So let's come back to Robert. Robert's got a 5.4 V8 Ford that those engines had problems with timing chains. So, Robert, I understand that you have cam sensor A and cam sensor B, and cam sensor A had an issue, a problem, and you replaced it, and then it popped up again. So you took A and moved it over to B, and the problem went from A to B. So you know that sensor, which is the second sensor, no, the third one actually, still continues to give problems. Is that a synopsis of what's going on?
Yes, sir. Anytime I sit anywhere after I've been driving a truck for a little while, it's at running temperature. If I go through a drive-through or I sit in traffic for a little while, I put a heavy load on it. It runs until I can get up about 2,000 RPMs. It runs pretty badly.
Well, here's what has to be done. Number one, we use a lab scope. And Johnny Bars is our shop foreman, and he's our guru. He's a master ASE certified technician, and we recently had issues with a 90 Ford Ranger, by the way, that I talked about at length a couple weeks ago. We fixed that truck, and that was we had it in the shop for a long time. Anyway, I said all that to say that what I recommend is for you to locate in your area a master ASE certified tech. Stop replacing parts because we can, in the industry, back probe and record in real time the action of that sensor. My concern, I'm more concerned about, did we get everything in proper alignment? Because if the computer, which measures the location of each camshaft and the crankshaft, if that computer is getting erroneous information, it's never going to run right. And so I'm concerned that you could have one a tooth off, but if it runs okay sometimes, then the physical being a tooth off that would not cause it. You see where I'm going? In other words, does it ever run right? Has it ever run right since you put it back together?
Yeah,
okay.
Unless it gets hot or overheated, it runs perfectly fine. The gas mileage is correct.
Okay.
I've got plenty of power. Unless I sit there and overheat it, and like I said, once it does it, if I get it out and moving again, get the airflow, I can see the temperature come down on the gauge showing the underneath the hood temperature. As soon as that starts to come back down again, it goes back to running perfectly.
Well, Robert, just one more quick question. When you say overheated, you mean beyond 220?
I couldn't tell you. It's a dummy gauge, so it tells the hot, cold, medium.
All right. So here's what I want you to do.
But the gauge itself, never moves. It's just the
it's the heat under the hood. Yeah.
The outside air temperature is what I'm referring to. When I see that to start to increase, that's usually when I'll start to see that it's like it's not getting enough airflow across the sensor, and it's posting at that point.
I'll tell you, it's ironic because we have the Honda that I mentioned the first hour that has a top dead center crankshaft position sensor that the same identical thing happens, and it goes blah. When it gets hot, it just doesn't have any power. So it is, but that's a bad sensor. This Honda, it's got 100,000 miles on it plus, and it's an 02 model, so it's old too. But the bottom line. Here's what I'd like for you to do is to have a technician ride with you and plug in the data port and see the engine temp and record the engine temp, which has got to be 220, 200 to 220. It's got to be that because it for gas mileage and all the other things, and make sure it doesn't rise. And you know, because to heck with the gauge, let's put a real digital gauge that goes to the heart of the engine, and then in the same vein, in the same test, that person can measure while you're driving throttle position, monitor converter, O2 sensor, monitor air-fuel ratio. There are just a lot of things that can be monitored. That there may be some electronic issues. I think you do. I think you do have maybe a wiring that's pinched somewhere, or some phantom ground that's not correct or something. Because there is a ground on the front of the main ground on the front of the engine. But electronically speaking, those things are really hard to pinpoint. The good news is. You've got an 08 model car, so you've got a computer that is very sophisticated, and our equipment and our shop and shops across the nation can plug in their not a code reader. That's a waste of time. Not a waste of time. Yeah, it's a waste of time. I mean, it is a waste of time. I mean, I get this all the time. We get people call and say, "Oh, I got a code PO 1316 or 1361." That's how this Honda came in. You know, and I talked to the gentleman, and when he found out, and he found out it was top dead center, but when he found out what the labor was involved to do it, he found out that haze didn't over his head. At least he didn't go there. so you know, I try to protect people from themselves because we see it every day. So do that.
This is one other thing for you. This isn't a low mileage vehicle. It's got 250,000 miles on it.
That's okay. That doesn't matter. I mean, you know, it's got some phantom issue with some ground that's affecting the computer somewhere, or the computer needs to be reprogrammed to introduce all these new parts to the computer, and that's going to require a professional. So in this case, I think you should go to the Ford Professional Service Network and find a professional service network member locally, so that you can be assured that shop is familiar with the Ford, because that's really a tie-in. So that's what I recommend for you to do in this specific case. Hey, thank you for calling, Robert, and I wish you the best going forward.
Thanks, sir.
Let's go to New York. Take a call from Peter, and your calls, folks, are important. 888-227-2546. Peter, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you, and thank you so much for holding.
Yes, thank you for taking the call. I have an 84 Chevrolet Camaro. The other day I drove a 200-mile round trip on highway that has a lot of hills. The trip north was fine, first 100 miles. When I turned around later in the day to come back, I noticed on several of the hills that the car was losing a lot of power. It was stumbling badly. As soon as I cleared the crest of the hill, it would kind of mysteriously return to normal, smooth right out, kept going. Some hills were fine, other hills were not. There were 3 times when it actually stalled out going up a hill.
Well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take this break, and Peter, you stay right there. We're going to come back, and we're going to pick up where you and I left off. And folks, now's the time to get in at 888 Car Clinic. I'll be back. In the service bay this week, a longtime customer's 2000 Ford Taurus. He'd been complaining about a humming noise at highway speeds and grinding when he stopped. With 55,000 miles on the odometer, the driver's had the vehicle since new and never had any work done. No brakes, no suspension. A thorough inspection revealed a number of potential problems. A failing left front wheel bearing, worn-out rear brake pads and rotors, and the beginnings of a leaking brake caliper. Our choice to solve these problems? Motorcraft. Brake systems and suspension repair represent serious work you want done right the first time. Choosing quality parts is critical to ensuring vehicle reliability and longevity. Motorcraft quality brake and suspension parts are engineered for Ford and Lincoln vehicles. From the hub to the rotor, calipers, brake pads, and wheel bearings, Motorcraft quality parts provide you with the stopping power and stability needed for your vehicle. Learn more about Motorcraft brake and suspension parts at motorcraft.com. That's motorcraft.com. Motorcraft, right part, priced right. We recently performed a major service on a 1996 F-150. The vehicle had just under 200,000 miles on it. In addition to fluids and filters, we changed the spark plugs and boots, performed a cooling system flush, and replaced the thermostat, hoses, and drive belts. After a few weeks, the owner noticed a small leak coming from the area where the transmission bolted onto the block. Using a pressure tester, we found that coolant was seeping from one of the freeze plugs at the rear of the engine. This repair would require several hours of labor and another few days or so in the shop. Given the truck's age and the fact it was just in the shop for service, we suggested K-Seal, a one-step permanent multi-purpose system for coolant leak repair that won't clog radiators or heater cores. K-Seal stops leaks and can also prevent future leaks. After driving the truck for a week, the owner called and let us know the leak had stopped. K-Seal is available at fine retailers everywhere, like Napa Auto Parts. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip.
From Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So this week we got in a fresh batch of Optima batteries. They are absolutely beautiful. We stock the red top and the yellow top. And we like the Optima, and we recommend it to our customers because 99.99% pure lead is what's inside. And what's inside that really counts. Optima batteries will last up to 3 times longer than a traditional flooded battery, folks. Optima batteries, we call them the ultimate power source. And you can learn more about Optima batteries. Where else? OptimaBatteries.com. Peter's got an 84 Chevrolet in New York, and it has a problem going over hills. So, Peter, you drove this vehicle for an hour, and it survived and ran just fine.
Exactly.
And then you're coming home, or was it the second hour of the extended 2-hour trip, or did you drive it for an hour? In other words, was it after an hour, and did it continue to give problems throughout the trip, or has it straightened itself out?
It was the return trip coming back south.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I mean, same road, just the opposite direction.
Right.
There were 3 times when it actually stalled out going up the hill. It took quite a bit of cranking, but it would restart.
Right.
And ran roughly and then smoothed right out. As soon as I cleared the crest of the hill, it would smooth out just like there was no problem whatsoever.
Well, a couple things come to my mind. Number one, did you buy gas when you got to your destination?
Before I started in the day, I put in 5 gallons of fresh fuel.
Okay.
Had some K100 in it.
Okay.
On the return trip, before the last big hill, I did stop, and I filled up the tank because I thought that the gauge might be reading incorrectly. When I undid the cap, there was a large surge of air that went in. I've had that before into the tank. I don't know if that's a factor. The final hill, I was able to clear it. It ran quite roughly. As soon as I cleared that hill, smoothed right out. The final 15 miles, you'd never know there was any problem.
Yeah. See, but here's the challenge. Engine vacuum is reduced as you climb hills for obvious reasons because you're loading the engine. Yeah. So it appears to me that it did not like the load of the engine. I think it was a smart move to fill the tank. The whoosh that you hear when you take the cap loose is pressure within the tank, not vacuum. Because the vacuum, because the gas cap is not vented to allow fumes to go out, but it is vented check valve one way to allow air to go in.
Yes, I see.
And that otherwise it would collapse your tank. If you draw fuel out of a container and you don't let air replace the fuel, then the gas tank will implode. You know, it will suck in. So,
yes, that makes sense.
Okay, so I don't think that's a problem. Here's what I would recommend, and I'm trying to get the nail on the head here. I think the first thing to do would be to remove the fuel filter from the vehicle.
Yes.
And here's what you want to do. You know, and by the way, before whoever removes the fuel filter, they have to loosen the gas cap, because when you loosen the line of the fuel filter, there's pressure in the tank. It's going to push that, and there's gasoline going to leak anyway. So just
that's good to know.
Okay, yes. And also just know that you need to have some rubber plugs or something and use a cloth, a rag, so that you don't, when you loosen the fuel line, because there's residual fuel pressure in the line. You got it?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So now we're going to pull the fuel filter out. We're not going to throw the filter away. We're going to take the fuel filter, and there's 2 directions. Either way, the gas comes from the tank through the filter to the engine, and that's the direction of flow. You got that?
Yes.
We're going to take a pan, like a pie pan, and we're going to pour the fuel from the fuel filter into the pan, backflow. In other words, not toward the engine, but we're going to shake it and let that, whatever gasoline is trapped in the filter, and they'll be, I don't know, 5, 10 cc's, whatever. You don't really care about all the liquid at first. What you care about is that last 5 cc's or that last 50 drops where you shake it and see what comes out of the filter backwards, because the filters, it may be clogged. And even if this, and then of course put a new filter on it, so go ahead and buy that.
Right.
But what you're doing is you're panning for gold, meaning you're doing a blood sample on the fuel, and you look at the pan and you kind of pan for gold, and if you see metal flakes, you're going to see chocolate and dark, for that's the brushes from the fuel pump. You're going to see that. That's normal, to a point. And you're going to also get a fuel sample of the fuel to see if there's something in the tank, but primarily you're looking for chips and flakes of the brushes and metal from the fuel pump, because that gets restricted and stopped up, and it will stop up the fuel filter. And even if this doesn't repair the issue, it will give you a blood work on the vehicle, and it will give you a condition of the fuel pump. You got it?
Right.
Okay.
Yes, this does have 2 fuel pumps, mechanical on the block, and then there's an auxiliary, this is the factory setup, auxiliary electric in the tank.
Okay. Well, then Now, this is an injected or throttle body or carburetor vehicle?
Carburetor, yes.
Well, you want to check, and you have to be careful here because carburetors are pot metal that era, and they'll leak and the pot metal, threads pull and all those things, so you have to be careful with the age of the vehicle because everything you touch is going to say, leave me alone,
Right.
So just take caution there. But you want to check the fuel filter at the carburetor as well, and it'll be probably a porous bronze filter.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's what I would do. And let's see what else would. Does this car have, do you know, an HEI distributor?
Correct.
Okay. Good. Bad. So I want you to, I want you to do this first because I don't want you to have the distributor apart while you have gasoline exposed on the engine. I want you. So first thing, do the fuel scenario afterwards. First thing I want you to do is remove the distributor cap, turn it upside down, and look for tracers, and look at the rotor, and see if the center electrode is not just burned away. That's a typical common problem for that vehicle. And then while you're there, rock the rotor back and forth to see that the advance mechanism is rusted and free.
Okay.
And then there are two Phillips head screws that remove the rotor. While you're there, remove gently those two screws. And by the way, the rotor has a square peg and a round peg, and it can only go on one way. And so pull it off and look at the advanced mechanism underneath to make sure that that's good. And it won't be. It'll be rusted, and it'll have rust dust within the distributor. And ultimately, if you have the need to replace parts on the distributor, you can buy a remanufactured distributor and eliminate all of the possibilities of having an ignition a problem that would give you that would exert the same issue and cause the same issue. So there's the two. Two of the most direct affecting issues for that engine. And I think between the HEI update, at least inspection, and first, and also after you if you don't find any problems, you put it back together, make sure before you start your fuel system, but after you've got the distributor ignition back on, that you crank the vehicle, because sometimes you think you got the cap on straight and it doesn't, and the next thing you know, you got an engine that ran before you started your diagnostics, and now it won't run at all. So check
Good to know that too. Yes.
Check yourself along the way. It looks good. Let's put it back together, and you didn't fire the car up, so you don't know that you got it back together correctly. So you want to confirm and reassemble and confirm the engine runs. You don't have to get it hot, just the fact that it runs and idles and cranks, and now I'm through with that. Now I'm going to the fuel filters and go from there. And that's where I would start.
Sounds very good.
Okay, Peter, good luck.
Thank you for your good help. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate your call and your confidence, and thank you. Take care in New York. And let's go to another call. Is it Elmer, and with an 05 Chevy. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic, and thank you so much for holding.
Yes, hello?
Hello, you're on the air, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. I love your show. I listen to it all the time.
Thank you.
I used to be a mechanic, road service, did some management in dealerships, but I'm disabled now. And we bought a car for my daughter, 2005 Monte Carlo, has 43,000 miles on it, original. It's sat for a long time, so the dash the dash has been apart more than one time, like they were chasing an electrical problem. But the problem I'm having now is that the blower motor will not shut off unless I disconnect the battery.
Okay. There's a all right. Number one, the blower motor has a resistor that allows you to have low speed, mid speed, high speed, 3 speeds. Okay. Then, so all of the battery power for the blower motor goes through the switch, the blower's motor switch, low, medium, and high. And then it goes through a resistor pack. and that's how you can have reduced voltage and reduced speed. Now, in addition to the low, medium, and high, there's a max. There's a all out, hands out, and when you go to the max, the power doesn't go through the blower switch any longer. The blower switch sends power to a relay, and that relay connects the blower motor directly to the battery. And the reason is that on high blow, there's like 30 amps or better current draw.
Right.
And so that switch couldn't handle that.
The only thing other than the headlights that draws the full 12 volts.
Exactly. Well, current, amperage versus volts. So you could have a bad blower motor switch, and you can also have a simple high range relay, blower relay that is stuck. So here's the problem: is you don't have a wiring diagram, so you don't know where these parts are.
Right.
So somewhere in that vehicle, there's a high relay, there's a high range relay, or the max speed relay, and so the challenge for you, Elmer, is you're going to have a wiring diagram. And so I would visit a local shop, and you know somebody there, you're from the business, and I would look for the wiring diagram, and you may need help to find it, and you'll want to find the the blower relay, the relay that sends power directly from the battery to the blower motor, because that's the only thing that could make it max, not the only thing, but more than likely that's what it would be. So that's your job, to find a wiring diagram that will lead you to the blower motor relay. And if you disconnect the relay, that blower motor should not work. And I'll be back, folks. Don't touch the dial. Folks, recently a 99 Chevrolet Blazer came into the shop. The owner was having problems with hesitation upon acceleration. He'd already changed out several parts: spark plugs, wires, ignition coil, mass airflow sensor, fuel filter, and the air filter element. He even changed the thermostat and coolant temperature sensor. Still had the same problem after putting a lot of money in this car, and he was frustrated. We dug a little deeper, cleaned the throttle body, and checked for trouble codes. No codes. So we recommended Berryman B12 Chem Tool. Carbon deposits and dirty fuel injector nozzles are a common problem with drivability in late model engines. We also recommended a higher quality gasoline. The customer noticed improvement on the first day, and only a few days and a few hundred miles later, the problem was completely gone. Berryman B12 Chem Tool features HEST, Berryman's exclusive high-energy solvent technology. The result is a more complete combination of available chemical technologies. Drive to BerrymanProducts.com for more information. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease. And she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now, you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. A fantastic show today, fast-paced, lots of car questions. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by K-Seal, a one-step pour-in solution designed to stop coolant leaks and help prevent future coolant leaks. And you can find K-Seal at auto parts stores nationwide like AutoZone. Don't just seal your coolant leak, K-Seal it. We're going to go to David in Pennsylvania now, and then we're going to go to Diana in Florida. But David was in the queue first. David, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for holding.
Well, thank you. First-time listener.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah.
We've been here 28 years, and it's just never. It's always fun, but I always learn about it. And David, for your information, this studio that we have is a digital television, radio, broadcast studio, online, at Watch Bobby Live and national stations across the nation, coast to coast. And Watch Bobby Live is of course, online as well. But our studio is located inside a 15,000 square foot automotive service center. I'm the first Bosch authorized service center in the state of Florida in 1986, and the automotive service part of our businesses we have operated since for 48 years, and I've hosted this program that we founded for 28 years. So with that, we've been there, done that. What can I do for you?
Well, I've got a 2005 Mazda 6. And I had the door latches would not work, and so I had those replaced.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, whenever I started to drive, I'd put the car in drive, and it would go into third gear, and it wouldn't come out of third gear, and it still does that.
It's an automatic transmission. How do you know it's in third gear?
Well, because it shows that on where the gear shift is.
Well, is it a floor shift or a console shift down there?
It's a floor shift.
Well, if you pull the stick back to on the stick, you got park, reverse, neutral, drive, and then you have what, 2 and 1 or second and low or what?
It goes into drive, and then it goes into the manual where you can shift it from first, low, second, third, up to sixth gear.
Okay, right. So have you tried all of those functions?
Yeah, no matter where you put it in the low or the drive, it's called manual, or the drive, it goes in third gear. And won't come out of third gear.
I don't quite understand, and I want to help you. How do you know it's in third gear? Does it it reads third gear?
Yeah.
Okay.
On the instrument panel.
Okay.
It shows what gear you're on.
Now I got you.
First, second, third, or whatever. But
okay.
It shows in third gear.
Does it show P for park and R for reverse and N for neutral?
Yeah.
Then
the only problem I have is when I go forward, and it goes, no matter what I put it in drive, it hits the third right away and stays there.
Okay, when you say it goes to third right away, if this car is idling at a stoplight, and you've got it in drive, it's in drive.
Right.
It says, does it say DR for drive or?
No, it says 3 for third gear.
Well, then I'm going to. Here's my experience, and here's what I suggest. For some reason, it may be in a limp home mode, and when I say a limp home mode, that means that the body control module or the transmission control module or the PCM powertrain control module, those three that's your main three engine controls and transmission controls, it's possible that, and this happened directly when you had the electrical problem repaired, correctly?
Right after that,
Okay,
yeah.
so it's possible that one of those modules saw a voltage drop that it didn't like, or the computer saw a voltage drop that it didn't like, and as a result, it says, wait a minute, I've got an issue here. I'm going to go into a safe mode. It's like booting up your computer, and we've all seen this, whether you got a Mac or Mac's not so bad because they work so well, but PC, Windows, and you boot it up, and you didn't shut this down right, and I'm going to open black screen, and you got the print on it, sits in the safe mode. Have you ever, you know what I'm talking about there, don't you?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, right. So what do? Do you say safe mode or operate normally? I usually hit normally. Anyway, that's nothing to do with your car, but your car has a similar self-protection built in. So what I'm going to suggest that you do is to go to a local shop, and let me give you a website so you can find a shop that's qualified. You got a pen?
Just a second here.
Yeah, that's all right. Take your time. It's on a national radio program. We got all day. Okay, and it's easy. ASA Shop. .org. That's Automotive Service Association, of which I am a member, and there are thousands of members, and they're quality shops and they're knowledgeable owners. ASAshop.org and then .org.
Okay.
And it's a nonprofit. It's like the American Medical Association, similar to that. For the medical industry, the ASA is that in our industry. So ASAshop.org. And then you'll find within a 5-mile or 10-mile radius of your home in Pennsylvania, 4 or 5 shops. So I want you to call a shop and ask them if they have, talk to them and see how they treat you over the phone. If they've got time for you, if they're too busy and don't have time for you, call another shop. So I'm trying to connect you with a local shop that is going to use a scan tool to determine if your vehicle is in the limp home mode, and they may be able to reboot the body control module. Okay? Now, so that's what I want you to do, but I want you to try one thing just for grins, because it might affect it, and you can't hurt anything. I want you to disconnect the negative side of the battery of that vehicle, and the negative side only. And I want you to wait 30 seconds, and I want you to reconnect the negative side of the battery only. That's all I want you to do. I don't want you to shake it, bake it, or do anything else. I just want you to disconnect the negative side. That will not remove any trouble codes that are surely in there, but what it will do is it will reboot the body control module and the transmission control module and the PCM. So it's all you can do, and if that cures it, you're lucky that you tuned in. If it doesn't, you still got to go to the ASA shop and let them check it with their tool. But in the meantime, you got nothing to lose by doing that. You got it?
I got it.
Okay, David. Good luck. Let me hear from you when you get to the.
Very much.
Thank you. When you get to the other side, you let me hear from you.
I will do that.
Thank you, sir. And welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Let's go to Diana. Diana, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you so much for holding.
Hi, Bobby. Can you hear me all right?
I got you loud and clear.
Great show. Calling about power steering rack, 1997 Plymouth Voyager van.
Okay.
2-owner, well looked after and maintained. The right boot on the rack is leaking, and I am putting in 4 ounces of power steering fluid every 100 miles on average.
Okay.
And I've had mechanic look at it. He said power steering pump is leaking too, and another mechanic said the power steering pump is not leaking, it's just the rack.
Okay.
An old van, but it's good. I like it, and I know they're a little pricey to replace the rack. I have fixed the or replaced the catalytic converter recently. But what do you think about the rack situation?
Oh, the rack needs to be replaced. Here's the good news: these are not labor overlapping jobs, and in as much as you don't have to pull the pump to get to the rack, you don't have to pull the rack to get to the pump. So you have nothing to lose but to replace the rack, and of course put new fluid in it, and then drive it, and that will eliminate the right seal failure in the rack, and then you can monitor the power steering pump over the next 2 weeks, 2 months, 6 months, and if it needs to be replaced, you can address that at the time. You don't replace both of those at the same time if you don't have positive proof and you don't feel like, and he can't, the technician should be able to show you where the pump's leaking. You know the rack's leaking because you add in fluid. So don't just, I would bite one bullet at the time in this instance, unlike sometimes, like I have this Honda in the shop that I'm going to replace a part that means I have to get down to the timing belt, so I'm going to do the timing belt while I'm in there, which is going to cost more money, but it's the prudent thing to do. In your case, you don't have two parts that are in the same vicinity. You do have two parts that work together, but they work together in different locations. So replace the rack and put in new fluid, and then monitor the fuel, the power steering pump going forward. Any questions?
That sounds great. I'll try that.
Well, let me know when you get to the other side what happens. And thank you so much for calling and for your confidence in me. And feel free to call me anytime, any Saturday from 10 to noon. I'm right here. I'm just your personal car consultant. Okay.
That's great, Bobby. I'll do that. And I appreciate your advice.
Thank you. I appreciate you as well. Thank you, my dear. And folks, that's what it's all about. It really is. I had this week, and the car's still in the shop, but we finished it, and the gentleman's going to pick it up Monday. It's a 2008 SC400, that 430 rather. It's that Lexus that they quit making, that body style. Those cars are probably the best luxury coupe, retractable hardtop cars you can buy. And normally they bring anywhere from $20,000 to $25,000. I don't know what the new one would cost. Well, $100,000. Really, that LS 500, but not LS, SLC 500. Yeah, that's LA. I don't know. Jesse from Lexus will correct me, but the bottom line is the older coupes are beautiful cars. And this car, it belongs to a customer of ours, and he's in Texas for a week, and we kept it and said, fix it. So part of the fix it was tire pressure monitor sensors and a bad tire and rear brakes and rotor. So we bought this, and this is nothing to do with our sponsors, but I was so impressed with this kit that Rusty found for this car, and it's a kit that's made by, and remember this name, Adaptive One. And here's what it reads. I took a picture of the pads, and I'm holding that this week. It's Adaptive One hybrid ceramic disc brake pads, and there's a picture of, I wish you could see this, a picture of the caliper and a picture of the pads, and there's an inner pad and an outer pad. Well, on all disc brake cars, there's inner and outer, but in this case, this Adaptive One brand put a blue mark and a red mark, and the blue mark is the outer pad, and so the outer pad has a blue dot on it, and then the inner pad has a red dot on it. What is so great about this, and it comes with a rotor, so it's a beautiful new rotor, it's a beautiful set of pads, and they're marked so that the technician can look at this, and it's interesting. And so if you've got someone that, like a technician that's been working in the shop day after day after day, a pad, a brake job, monotony, okay? This, and I've been in the business 48 years, I'm really excited about it. And so Adaptive One, hats off to Adaptive One for creating this brake kit. that makes it easier for our ASE certified technician, Tommy Bernardino is who it is. Tommy does a great job. He does a great job. And he's the number 2 tech in our shop, and he came from nowhere, folks. I'm really proud of this young man. And I say nowhere. He came from Team Challenge, and now he's challenging every technician in the shop to be and do as great a job as he does. So I'm losing my voice, so it's the end of the show. That's okay. I'll recover. But the bottom line, Adaptive One does a great job, and I'm impressed. And we're going to buy more of these because I like the way, and Tommy liked the way, and the ease of, and the design of. So there you got it. So it's great to come with you every week. Remember, if you're like Robert in Florida that we had on air, or David in Pennsylvania, you have a need for parts. If you have a Ford part, make sure you use Ford parts for your repair and or maintenance needs. And you can go to fordparts.com, and on that site you'll see high quality parts images, line art diagrams, detailed product descriptions, related part number section, and it'll help you find the right component for your vehicle. Really, I'm just proud to be a part of the Ford Professional Service Network. Go to fordparts.com. Until next time, I'm your host, Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
It's back to school time, and the Car Care Council has a 5-point checklist to make sure your vehicle is kid-safe and road-ready. First, check lights and wipers for visibility. Second, get an annual brake inspection. 3, check tires for underinflation or excessive wear. 4, review tips for seatbelt fit and position. And 5, if your car isn't already equipped, consider installing a backup camera to help reduce the risk of backover incidents. Find more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules at carcare.org.
O'Reilly Auto Parts offers O-Rewards points in-store and online. Earn points on everything from replacement parts to tools and accessories. And for every 150 points collected, you'll get a $5 reward. Earn points any way you shop. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P. Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, loaded, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.